Again, this is City Commission meeting, 6 p.m. Thursday, April 22nd, 2021, the City Commission Chambers in Tucumcari, New Mexico. May we all stand for the invocation by Commissioner Arias, and I'll lead the Pledge of Allegiance.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the gifts of family, friends, and love and community. We ask for your guidance and your helping hand tonight, Lord, as we come together to do your will inside the city of Tucumcari. We ask this in your heavenly name. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis,
Here.
Commissioner Moya,
Here.
Commissioner Villanueva,
Here.
Commissioner Arias,
Here.
Mayor Litchfield.
All right, next on the agenda is consideration of changes or deletions to the agenda. I think we have one change.
Yes, I do ask that 4C be removed from the agenda.
Are there any others?
No, sir.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda as is, not as is, with the deletion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the agenda as amended.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Moya,
Yes.
Commissioner Villanueva,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Yes. The next is public comments. Citizens wanting to speak during this time must sign up prior to the start of the meeting. Public comments is an opportunity for citizens to comment on non-agenda items. This is not for discussion or questions and answers. Citizens will be given 3 minutes to speak. Please join from your computer, tablet, or smartphone. You can also dial in using your phone. Do I need to read those? No. Okay. All right, first one on our list is Ms. Kathy McCullough.
I just wanted to bring you a little report on what we did last weekend for our spay neuter program. First off, I'd like to thank those that helped us put it on, besides the community in general. Desert Inn gave us a really good rate on the rooms for the clinic folks that came. And meals came from Ranch Supply, Mama T's, and Subway, and also the Powwow. And also, the city of Tucumcari has agreed to help us with some of the fundraising part as well. But for 3 days, we spay or neutered 65 cats and 122 dogs. And that's the low number for 187. We had 205 applicants, but sometimes the cats won't get in the traps. And some of the dogs ran away, or the applications came in after the 10th. So we ended up with 187, which is pretty dang good. That is one veterinarian doing that with 3 techs, 4 techs actually. It's amazing. If you haven't ever seen it done, you need to come and watch. It's pretty smooth, pretty smooth. And we had I don't know if y'all want to hear this or not, but we had a few, I think there was 3, 2 cats and a dog that were pregnant, that we were able to stop that pregnancy so that we wouldn't have to deal with those later on down the road. Anyway, that's it. But I have the city's invoice.
Oh.
We don't want to hear that.
My secretary was on the ball.
Thank you for your work.
Yes.
The next is Ms. Alex Villanueva.
Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to remind everybody about the Great American Cleanup, which is next Saturday, May 1st. We are having everybody meet at 512 South 8th Street. This year we're going to work on planting flowers at city properties. We are also still looking for donations for some prizes and giveaways. We're asking for bottled water, granola bars, or gift certificates. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
And you do good work too.
Thank you.
And the next on the agenda is the consent agenda. The consent agenda is approved by a single motion. Any member of the commission may request an item be transferred to the regular agenda from the consent without discussion or vote. I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mayor Pro Tem will make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Villanueva,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Yes.
Commissioner Moya.
Yes.
Next is ordinances and resolutions. First one up is the resolution 2021-10, acceptance and approval of fiscal year audit. Ms. Otis?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. I have the resolution that's required for DFA to request for your approval on the results of the audit along with the findings. And again, to remind you and everybody that or the opinion was unmodified, which means that we had findings, but we are still very good with all of our cash and our books. So we had the finding on the IT, and that was a continued one. We have the finding on the late submission of data collection, and that one should go away this year since we were on time this year. The internal controls over travel and per diem, I'm hoping will go away. And then the internal controls over the EMS accounts receivable. I'd be happy to answer any questions, or I ask for your approval for this resolution.
Commissioner Villanueva?
I'm good.
Commissioner Arias?
No, sir. Thank you.
Commissioner Moya?
I'm not going to, it's already been approved once, so I'm just gonna go ahead and go with it this time. Thank you. I have some questions, but, I pretty much have answered myself because I come back and we see it. Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution number 2021-10.
Mayor Pro Tem will make a motion that we approve resolution 2021-10.
I'll second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis,
Yes.
Commissioner Moya,
Yes.
Commissioner Villanueva.
Yes. Next on the agenda is the resolution 2021-11, third quarter budget adjustment request for March required by DFA. Ms. Arias again?
Yes. So it's our third quarter time, and so I'm asking for approval for the budget adjustments in the amount of $47,313. That is unfavorable, but it was because of the payments that we made out of the lodger's tax for the bands of enchantment. But overall, that still leaves our budget right now in a deficit of $145,878. And when we started the year, just to remind everybody, we were in a deficit of $631,945. And I would be happy to answer any questions that you have on the bar, or I ask for your approval on the resolution.
Commissioner Moya?
I don't remember, but I thought I saw an increase in one of the line items, but I couldn't find it. I don't know, I was just wondering if that had been some sort of grant or something that got paid, but, I just don't have time to go through the whole thing.
Do you think it was like the actuals, like the financials and not on a bar?
It might have been on the financial.
Okay, so we can look at that one on the next
Okay,
resolution.
because I was real busy today.
I don't see anything, there's nothing on here. The only adjustments I made were for general fund, lodger's tax, the Hoffman Fund, and the police.
When are we gonna be able to get rid of that Hoffman fund?
As soon as
that's,
we can never
something
find
that
out
we-
what it's for.
Actually, that's been there forever,
It
even
has.
back in the 80s, so,
And like I said before, I had asked, previous finance director Marty Garcia. He doesn't know. I've asked Richard Primrose. He doesn't know.
no, I know we used to have, I think, a councilman by the name of Hoffman, and I don't know what it is. But to be honest with you, is there any way you can put
It's-
service charges on it to get rid of it?
It's some kind of a trust, and I reached out to the auditors, but I will ask them again.
Yeah, because we need to get it out. It's an item that really has no explanation,
Right.
and it's kind of hard to try and, even if it's only a Mickey Mouse 12%, $7 or whatever, it still shows up in this audit, and then you don't have an answer for it.
Let me see.
It's $7.68 final activity on it.
It is, but it has, I don't have my bank statement with me. I believe it's not very much money. It's like a couple $1,000s, I believe.
I wondered if we could either shift it over to recreation or something like that, if it's a trust type of fund, or have some sort of a meaning, because all of a sudden you have a dead item on the budget that we don't know.
Right.
Nobody can explain what is happening.
Well, so that on the budget is favorable for them. It's an accrued interest,
Okay,
so
yeah,
it's favorable.
I favored the 32
Yeah.
cents to me.
Or what, yeah, whichever was.
Yeah, the 32 cents. But all in all, I think it's important to have it on budget that reflects what we're doing. Thank you.
I'll reach out to the auditors.
Yeah, maybe they can let us transfer it with some sort of commission approval to recreation or some sort of project.
Okay, I'll ask.
Commissioner Villanueva?
I don't have no questions.
Commissioner Arias?
No, thank you, sir.
I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution number 2021-11.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 2021-11.
I'll second it. Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Yes.
Commissioner Moya.
Yes.
Commissioner Villanueva.
Yes.
Commissioner Arias.
Yes.
Next on the agenda is resolution 2021-12, third quarter financials for fiscal year 21 as required by DFA.
Thank you. And again, this is required by DFA. So this resolution actually shows what we have received in revenue and what we have spent year to date. So that's at the end of March 31st. Sorry.
So sorry.
Somebody looked at me like it was me.
So, I have included in your packet the printout from the system from DFA, and that shows all of the revenue and all of the expenditures, and it also shows our ending balance. But between the actual of what we received in revenue so far and the actuals of what we've spent on expenditures, we are sitting favorably at $2,324,151.51. As far as all the departments go, we're at the third quarter, so we would expect every department to be at about 75%. If you look at your report, everybody is doing wonderfully with their budget. I don't have any concerns for any of the departments right now. And let me see. I believe that's it. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Commissioner Arias?
No, sir.
Commissioner Villanueva?
No, sir.
Commissioner Moya?
The only thing you look here on the negative aspect is that mostly grants or what that we're looking at, like an item from the other state funding projects that are negative 41. Capital outlay project, that's what it is.
So, yeah, so what that means is that it is negative 41, but that's because we've spent more than we've received so far.
Mhm.
So I have to make an adjustment because we can't be in a negative cash balance.
That's right,
So this is just on the DFA system. This is not in our system.
okay.
But
Are
because
those
of,
grants that still haven't come in,
yes, that's exactly it. We haven't received our
our
revenue.
matching funds or whatever you call them?
Yes.
I thought it was on this one that I saw an increase in one item, but I can't remember. I just saw it briefly when I know about it, but that's about all I have.
I'd entertain a motion for resolution 2021-12.
Mayor Pro Tem will make a motion that we approve resolution 2021-12.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Yes.
Commissioner Moya.
Yes.
Commissioner Villanueva.
Yes.
Commissioner Arias.
Yes.
Next is Resolution 2021-13, removing additional person authorized to inquire regarding account information for the checking and savings account. Who's presenting this? Ms. Hodges? It's your show.
I was just gonna say that, some nights it's
Ralph?
Ralph's show. I thought I was going to. Tonight, I believe it's mine.
Yeah, he's not here today.
So in this, resolution, I am removing, Maribel Lucero
Oh, okay.
from the, having access to the banking account, so she's no longer with the city. That's the only adjustment that I'm making on that resolution.
Does anybody have any questions? No, sir. I'll entertain a motion for resolution number 2021-13.
Mayor Pro Tem will make a motion that we approve resolution 2021-13.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Moya?
Yes.
Commissioner Villanueva?
Yes.
Commissioner Arias?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis?
Yes.
Thank you. I'll be back.
Next is resolution number 2021-14, a resolution in support of the Tucumcari Metropolitan Park redevelopment plan. And I'm assuming Mr. Zamora?
Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, I appreciate the opportunity to present this resolution for approval. As we discussed in the work session, the Friends of 5 Mile Park developed this redevelopment plan in an effort to apply, to leverage this plan to apply for grants to subsidize the redevelopment effort and mitigate some of the costs to the city. And we're actually working to apply for a $500,000 grant now to repurpose the pool using the landscape architect rendering that's in the plan. So with that, I appreciate your consideration for approval of the resolution.
Commissioner Villanueva, you got any questions?
No, sir.
Commissioner Moya?
No, just keep the good work.
Commissioner Arias? Keep pushing forward. I've been living here since 1979. I've never seen that much activity happening out at 5 Mile Park. I applaud you for your efforts. It's nice to see that Commissioner Lumpkin's sign has finally been up. I know it's been several years. And it was not something we want to do overnight or anybody. We want to make sure it's done right. I commend you and the people that has been out there. I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 2021-14.
Mayor Pro Tem will make a motion that we approve resolution 2021-14.
I'll second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Villanueva?
Yes.
Commissioner Arias?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis?
Yes.
Commissioner Moya?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, am I missing one?
Yeah.
I got on, the agenda says resolution 2021-14. Is that the one we just did?
Yes.
Oh, I'm behind looking. Okay. My check marks are off. Item 6 is proclamations, memorials, or petitions. Proclamation declaring April 30th, 2021 Arbor Day in Tucumcari. I need to read this. Proclamation, whereas the planting of trees is a legacy to future generations, and whereas trees provide solace to the human spirits and necessities to the human body, including food, fuel, shelter, and medicine, and whereas trees lend protection to the environment, reducing air and noise pollution, prevent erosion of the soil, and provide shelter to birds and wildlife, and whereas trees provide beauty to the landscape. Therefore, I, Todd Duplantis, Mayor Pro Tem of the Tucumcari, New Mexico, do hereby proclaim April 30th, 2021 as Arbor Day in Tucumcari. I urge that schools, Chamber of Commerce, patriotic, civic, and social organizations commemorate this day with appropriate observances and exhibits in cooperation with Keep New Mexico Beautiful, Inc., New Mexico Clean and Beautiful, and Keep Tucumcari Beautiful, to participate in enhancing and preserving the natural beauty of New Mexico. In witness, therefore, I have hereunto set my hand and seal this 22nd day of April 2021, and cause the seal of the city of Tucumcari to be affixed thereon. Okay, check that. All right, item 7, discussion items. We have an EMS update.
Where is it?
There are no attachments.
There's no attachment.
There are
Oh.
no attachments for 7A or 7B.
Okay,
I'm just gonna give an update. As I told you in the last commission meeting, when it was brought on the agenda, the EMS update previously, and I wasn't here, it didn't come across the way I needed to because Commissioner Moya, you had a bunch of questions about Omni billing.
Mhm.
And so the whole conversation was about the contract, but what I really wanted to remind you, so if you can go back and look in your packets, attached was, because you questioned if Omni's billing the right price based on like basic life support, advanced life support. They have attached the pricing that is the requirement from, I believe it's the Medicare. And so the rates are all in there of what they're
Well,
billing.
yeah, actually, my question was not that. My question was sometimes, what we're looking at is, what I was looking at is sometimes, are we doing the coding right? So that actually, that's what I was looking at. I mean, no, I already know Medicare, Medicaid do their own standards and we have to follow them. But sometimes the error can occur because we, first of all, is it the right coding for that type of services? Is it the right level of licensing? And that's all I was asking, and that's what I would like to have seen.
Okay.
Because I do know very well Medicare, Medicaid, because I do a lot of billing for our office. And so the whole deal is, we do have paramedic level, are we doing the paramedic level, or whatever, whoever's involved or whatever for the person on the standards of Medicare. And that's was the question. It wasn't about the standards of
So-
Medicare, because you can argue that
Right.
is set by the federal standards.
Well, so on their contract, it says that they will make all reasonable attempts to verify patient information and eligibility before entering of the charges. And then they submit it on to, I'm assuming it's somebody who's trained in coding. I don't know, I can't tell you
Well,
if
the
they
whole
are
deal is-
because I'm not a coder.
Okay, the whole deal is, the question is, are we training our EMTs to do the right coding is the question. Because the billing clerk can only bill for the code that you receive from the EMT.
So according to the contract, it seems to me that they are reviewing the reports that are presented to them from the hospital and from EMS, and they are basing it based on that report.
But who's doing the coding?
Omni. Omni does the coding based
Okay,
on
how
the
do they-
reporting.
Okay, and so they standardize their services, what, the level of services we're doing, the level of care?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes. So it's all on them, and that's what I'm saying. They handle all of that side of it.
And who's doing what we call a balance, a check on it? And do we have anybody that can look into it? Because, see, I do a lot of it from our offices, and I like to use that as an example in case somebody questions where I'm coming from. And I noticed that in one of our areas since October, there was a wrong code used in one of the services, and the level of care that we were giving. So what happened, that winded up being almost $30,000 or more, or 45, I can't believe. We had to go back and correct it. You see, if I wasn't checking it, the billing clerk would have continued to do what she normally does. You know what I mean? And so that's what it is, because if we don't have a check other than themselves.
I would think that if we have an EMS coordinator, that would fall on that person,
Okay, then
because then they would be
then
able
he
to
would need to be
verify that.
trained on the coding, make sure it's
Right.
done right. Because that's a lot, because in today, because of Medicaid and what New Mexico have, what we call the Affordable Act, we should be doing pretty good. And I'm glad to see that we're doing it properly, because I can see the huge amount of reduction on the deficit at the EMT.
Mhm.
And then there shouldn't be any reason why the general fund should ever subsidize it with the amount of money that we have. The question we hold, and I have the county manager here, is that hopefully one of these days, we can work with the engineering fund to be able to subsidize, because this is a necessity
Well,
to,
I'm gonna talk about that
yeah, but,
also in my report.
oh, good.
I have
that's
some
good.
more on that.
And so that's something that I would like to see. But the whole deal is, and that's what the question was on that. I also have a lot of questions in the contract, but we had already signed it.
Right.
And we have like a date. But next time, when we redo that, I like to see that because of a huge amount of percentile here, percentile there, and when you add it up, that becomes quite a few.
Well, I have all the numbers for you because you asked for them, so I
Yeah.
have all that, but I just wanted to go over because you did ask a lot of questions about
Yes, I do,
Omni.
because I understand a lot of it too, and I want answers. So
Right,
that the citizens of Tucumcari are getting what the billing is necessary for them. So they wouldn't have to utilize their general fund to
right.
subsidize that service. It's a necessity service, and there shouldn't be and there shouldn't be no reason why that service should not eventually come out to zero expense. But I've seen a lot of improvement, and I love that.
Okay, so I also wanted to point out that Omni sends 3 letters to the patient to try to collect. So that is something else that they're doing. And then in their reports, they send us a list of accounts that have been written off. So in this report, this was from January 21. The dates of service were way back to June of 2020. So they do try quite a bit to collect that. On the indigent fund, I had reached out to previous county manager Richard Penrose. He sent me the policy on the indigent fund. The problem with it in the way that it's worded now, the patient themselves would have to apply for that. And so that doesn't help us because if the patient doesn't have insurance, then they're gonna get billed, but they would have to fill out the paperwork to get the indigent. So I agree with you. I wish we could come to some kind of an agreement with the county to where if they don't have insurance, that maybe somehow we can use the indigent to help offset those costs.
And the deal is, we have a beautiful services, we have paramedics, and the whole deal is, we really help the county a lot. We take on the extraterritorial area surrounding our community, and those are all county residents, and I hate to see that. I'm glad we're going down to about $80-some thousand in the deficit, which is great from 300 and some that we kept looking back years. So you look at that, and I mean, that's a lot of money that we have saved and come up to par with, and I love that, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I was bringing in.
Yeah.
And I noticed that I cannot remember on that contract, I wish I had brought my notes, but I know that when they do several attempts, I think they put in an extra percentage or something, I can't remember. I have to bring the contract with me, for extra, I can't remember what it was. If they have to, I didn't bring the contract, I had the numbers on the January number, what the expense was, how they calculated, but that was in that meeting and not now. So, thank you, Michelle.
Well, I'm not done.
Oh, okay.
So you
If you'd like to
asked
argue, let's go for it.
for, you asked for the total
No,
amount
no,
collected from Omni. So from, when they first started they started in April, but the first amount of revenue that they collected was in May. So from May until March, they have collected $291,045.72. Then you wanted to know the total amount paid. So our fee, which is the 6%, is $18,466.67. You then asked what was the total amount of the late fees. We've had 2 late fees, and they were from way back when we first started, and it was a total of $41.15. And then you wanted to know how much was the credit card. So Omni gets credit card payments from individuals as well as some insurance companies, which we're gonna work on trying to get those to come directly to us to reduce that 3% cost on the credit cards. Because that's what they charge us, 3% when they take a credit card payment,
That's Omni.
Omni.
And then the
So if
credit
we
card,
can work with the insurance company,
Uh-huh.
then they would directly deposit it into our bank account and we wouldn't have to pay the 3% on those payments.
yeah, because we also have a percentage that our account gets billed for the utilization. of the credit
6%.
card. Yeah, which is pretty
6%.
high. And that'd be good, that would save us 3%.
Right, so with the previous billing company, it was 10% is what we
Wow.
paid before.
Yeah.
So it's 6% for that and then 3% for the credit card. So in credit card payments, they've received $82,199.85. And the fees for that was $2,465.99.
Mhm.
So the way Omni has been working with us, they get the revenue, they figure out how much we owe. So for the month of March, they collected $48,549 and our fee was $3,087. However, they received payments on the credit card of $8,654. So that offsets our cost, so they take that out, and then whatever's left over, they give us
Yeah.
that remaining amount. So we haven't actually we've only made one actual payment to Omni, and that was in the very beginning. Other than that, they've been taking it out as they get the credit card payments. But once we switch the insurance company over to directly deposit, we would probably start having to make payments again.
Okay, and who's gonna monitor that, make sure that when that payment hits our accounts, that it is taken off the books of that person's, I know it's you, but when they don't pay, who's gonna be following up on it?
So Omni still gets the information to know that the person has made a payment or the insurance company has made a payment. They still get that information.
Okay.
So then
Will
they
forward
would fix
to
it
us?
on their records, yes. Mhm. Okay, so that's it for Omni. Or did you have any more questions?
I do, but it's useless right now because we already approved the contract. It would be when we do negotiate the contract and some of the percentiles, the late fees and all that, and more time available for our accounting office to when they get busy and they cannot make the payment on time, which I feel that the short period, I think it's 30 days before we start getting fined or whatever you call it, or whatever.
Well, we have a net 30 with all of our vendors, so that's very standard.
Yeah, but I mean, we have to look at that because when we're short staffed, we can't do that flip around that fast. You know? And so that's in the contract, but that's next time for there's another episode in that. Okay,
Great.
thank you.
Commissioner Villanueva, Commissioner Hodges, y'all have anything else?
Nothing.
Next is the banking interest collateralization from the Mexico Bank and Trust.
I like this one.
And again, questions from Commissioner Moya, so I'm hoping I'm answering all your questions.
Yes.
So you asked, I believe in the last commission, when the contract was up with, First National Bank or New Mexico Bank and Trust. It is up in November.
Okay.
And when we first signed the contract with them, they guaranteed that our rate would not be less than 1% during that 2-year term. After the 2-year term, then we go down based on I believe it's the State of New Mexico Treasurer's Office, the LGIP net 30-day net rate. So I've talked to you guys about this before, or you questioned the collateralization on the bank. So as I explained before, we can either get the interest or we can be 100% collateralized. We have received an interest this year, $79,000.
That's good.
Now, with the interest rates the way they are, it's probably gonna go down a whole bunch after November. So my question is, should we wait until November before we look at collateralizing and continue to receive that interest? So we are collateralized for $7 million right now. And then we have $11 million in the bank. So we're at 63%. The state requires 50%.
Yeah.
So, and that's above the 250,000. So I think that was all your questions that you
Yeah.
had, but now I need to know where you guys want to go from here.
One of the things, my personal opinion is that come November, we'll do the same thing, allow the other banks, because if they go down, don't keep the level of the contract and the agreement that we have, that we allow, it's only fair that we allow the other banks to have the same input into it. And on the other part of the extra collateral that we need is very important, because at this point, we're barely making this community, and if we don't pay that extra insurance and those banks go under, we're out to lunch. And we have to close everything we have. So it's worth the investment paying. That's mine as a commissioner from District 1. That would be my recommendation as a Commissioner 1, because I'm not willing to gamble with the taxpayers' dollars. It's better to pay the insurance.
So you want to
Mine.
move with 100% right now?
Because
Okay.
that's a lot of money, and we're just right on the nerves, and we can afford it, even though it's high.
And I think, so you're saying that come November, you want to go out for,
Give the other banks an opportunity the same that we did this last time.
so it's a lot of work to move that money around from bank to bank so
It
quickly.
is, but it's only fair because they also do business in our community.
Right, but so we haven't even closed the general fund account at Wells Fargo because we have checks that are outstanding and it has to stay open for another year or 2 years. That's what I'm saying, it's a lot, so we're
But
constantly
look how much we got in
monitoring it.
interest too.
Huh?
Look at the interest we got compared to what we were getting, because
Well,
there was a lot. When I saw what is it called, that, my mind went blank. But when I saw the figures, I saw where some of the percentage were fluctuating, very different from bank to bank. And then when I saw what this bank gave us, they gave us very good interest. It's almost, I forgot what it was, it's almost like almost like a high CD interest, and it was real good. So, we ended up winning in that situation.
right, because Wells Fargo has so many fees.
Yeah, and that's
It was
another thing,
costing us-
they did away with the fee. I mean, a lot of benefits came with that. And because the question started was when I saw all the charges that Wells Fargo was giving us, and yet the little Mickey Mouse interest was not even covering it, and now look at the difference.
Right. So, do they make a decision now? or-
No, this is just for discussion.
For discussion.
Okay, so do you want me to put it on as an action item for next agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
Please.
That's all I have. Unless anybody else has questions.
Commissioner Villanueva? Commissioner Arias?
I would say we don't know how the markets are gonna be in November, so I mean, the interest might rebound with the bank that it's currently at. So at this point, I wanna see what it looks like in November, and we just don't know.
I would like to see this visited again, not wait till November, but maybe September. That way, if we decide to move forward, we're not in one of those crunch times that, September will give us plenty of time to, if we want to talk to other banks, whatever it might be, or if we want to take a look at, the progress we've made, and it has been very positive. That gives us time, we don't need to be hitting contracts at the last minute and, agreeing to things that we know that we haven't had a good chance to look
I mean, it's
on.
also fair for the banking industry to have a time area to be able to work the numbers too.
Appreciate all your hard work getting these updates for us.
Thank you.
And I want to say that, I want to thank you, and don't think I'm harassing you when I'm asking all these questions. These are important questions for me to understand how we're managing our money and what we're doing with it.
No, I completely understand, and I wanted to answer them. I didn't want
Well,
to
thank
think
you.
that I wasn't
Appreciate
paying
it.
attention.
Thank
And I'm
Thank
still
you.
working on getting you the debt. I haven't forgotten.
Okay.
All right, next on the agenda is old business, acknowledgement of Lodgers Tax Advisory Board minutes from March 3rd, 2021. Has everybody had a chance to look over them?
Yes, and I'd like to make a nice comment.
Go for it.
I think I read the Lodgers tax, and let me see what is it? I want to see that, because I was really impressed with the fact.
8-8.
Yeah, I was really impressed, and this is what I mean when they do proper planning. And if you look at the minutes and look at number 7, item number 7 on that Lodgers meeting, and it says, the city manager report, Martinez, restriction in towns that are lifted again. The convention center will be upgraded, including the fastest internet, the sound projector, the smart TV, the electronic equipment, and we'll ask the commission to approve $6,424.90 to upgrade the internet, some electrical upgrade, made a railroad depot prior fueling ban of enchantment. A proposal is being considered for hiring outside management for the convention center. What this number 7 is, and I'm really proud and happy to see that the Lodgers staff as well as the city manager is doing, is they're addressing our infrastructure, and they're not allowing it to dilapidate to the point where we can't even operate. And this is the proper way to do things. They're not too expensive, but at the same time, we're able to upgrade little by little to go forward. Because too many times we sit here and we look at it and we allowed it to get to the point where it's costing us twice as much to fix. And this is proper planning. So I'd like to recommend the Lodgers staff, the city manager, on how good they're doing on the planning of keeping our infrastructure in upgrade situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to comment on the Lodgers tax minutes?
No, sir.
Okay. Next on the agenda is new business.
Excuse me,
yes.
if you would just note that, just for record purposes, that you've acknowledged.
Yeah.
Just for record purposes, we've acknowledged the minutes for large. Item 9, new business. A, action item regarding the pontoon boat. You want me to present it, or?
Yeah, go ahead, based on what was discussed in the work session.
We had a very proactive, meeting today in the work session, and it started off with, actions describing where we want to go in the direction of the pontoon boat. As Commissioner Moyes mentioned, it's become a legend here in Tucumcari. I believe, I'm not gonna speak for everybody because it's gonna be a vote, but, me personally, I believe that we should be trying to hold this individual accountable for the storage fees, the tickets and fines he accrued, and if need be, the disposal fees it's gonna take to rid this boat. We discussed about taking it, with some legal action. Anybody would like to elaborate on our discussions as farther than that?
Well, actually, a lot of it was the fact is that we feel that if we're gonna enforce our ordinance, we're gonna not be unfair to certain people and fair to others. I mean, and let others walk away. The sad thing about it, this got a little away from us because of the fact is that the information was provided to, at that time, whoever was the city manager, and no action was ever taken. Also, the fact is there were some tickets issued, no follow-up on it. And now, at the end of the day, it comes to it is up to this commission to make it came to our attention to now make a decision what we're gonna do. And I felt that some of my fellow commissioners, as well as I did, we felt that it is not fair to go after local residencies and send warrants for their arrest and allow somebody, even though it's gonna cost us more than it's worth, but we're gonna give it a shot to make sure that we treat everybody equally. And that's what I heard in the discussion. That's about it.
Commissioner Villanueva, you would like to elaborate? He answered everything. Commissioner Audience?
I have nothing to answer.
I'd entertain a motion, to move forward, legally, against the owner of the pontoon boat.
I'll make a motion to that. And like we said, the commission was very good discussed today, and Commissioner Mayor Duplantis pointed out the need for us to be fair and square and honest with everybody else, even though it might be an additional expense. So I move that we go ahead and take action.
Second? Second it. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis,
Yes.
Commissioner Moya,
Yes.
Commissioner Guerrero.
Yes. Thank you. Next item for new business is transfer of lodgers tax executive funds for Carlos Medina's Aventuras Encantadas. I know I probably butchered that. Mr. Medina?
At least you didn't say enchiladas.
Yeah. Well, that's, now I'm hungry. Well, by the way, I just wanted to say, that I'm Carlos Medina Hoffman, and thanks for the $7 a month. I'm just kidding. No, I want to thank you all for giving me this time to come out and visit with you. Thanks to your lodgers tax board members, I had a good meeting with them a couple of weeks ago, and been back and forth with Mr. Martinez as far as honing this whole project. So we are going to there's a couple of changes that I just wanted to make you aware of, that all the content that we'll be filming will be specific to Tucumcari, and the end goal is that this will be the pilot for the travel series that I'm working on called Aventuras Encantadas. I have to make sure that name is something I'm gonna be able to use, but whether or not Aventuras Encantadas ever happens, the content that we'll be filming is gonna be 100% Tucumcari centered, and it'll be fair use for the city and whoever you deem responsible to, share it with.
You say, be able to market it?
Yeah, you can use 100% of the content, however you feel is however you want to use it. If you want me to extract, let's say you really like the ride that we take up in Nunga Boulevard when we're showing the neon, and maybe you want to produce a 30-second ad with that, I would be willing to edit it for you for that use. And whatever legal documents or whatever I need to sign to make that so I'll be willing to do it. Other than that, it's all gonna be Tucumcari centric. It'll stand on its own. We'll be able to use it for whatever purposes you deem fit. I'm gonna use it eventually for that travel docu-series, and that's pretty much it. I spoke with Mr. Martinez today regarding some of the details on the contracts. I just wanted to make you all aware that I won't ask for any funds until Mr. Martinez and I are comfortable with the language, all the details. So my goal is that in the next 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, because I'm heading out to Nashville, but when I come back, I want to bring my co-host and the camera crew so we can do our first official scouting session. And I already have pretty much an idea of where I want to start, where I want to end. I think I explained the 5 days that we'd be filming. I think you guys have that attachment. And that's pretty much, that hasn't changed. We want to spend a total of 5 days here. I want to focus on, the obvious, which is your museums, your restaurants. I want to focus on the landscape. I want to do a segment in there where it'll show people that, Tucumcari is not just Tucumcari tonight, but we can actually do something here. It's a destination place, and that's really the whole focus of the content, is just basically to show this couple came to Tucumcari. We had enough to do all day long, all night long. We stayed the night. We then had stuff to do the next day. The 2 lakes are close enough to have fun, with your family. So all that will be nicely packaged in this 30 to 40-minute episode. And I've already talked to Mr. Martinez and said that I would make available up to 15 minutes of edited content specific to, like I said before, if you like what we shot at the museum with the dinosaur, I could edit that for you to do a 1-minute ad that maybe you want to show at your Chamber of Commerce or whatever other media you want to do. As far as I'm concerned, I can guarantee that I will show everything that we film on all of my platforms, all of my co-hosts' social media platforms, and together we probably can reach a couple 100,000 people with any given content that we put up there. I would be willing to work with the city as far as if you guys wanted me to maybe start a YouTube channel or something like that specific to that content, I'd be willing to work with you at no extra charge. I'm also planning a promotional tour for what will become Aventuras Encantadas, and everywhere I go, I'll be referencing the content that we created here. So basically, if everything goes right, my goal is to have this weekly show, hopefully in local, like maybe the CW or My 50, and it's gonna be Aventuras Encantadas with Carlos Medina and Lauren Poole. And so our first episode is gonna be Lauren and I saying, hey, let's go to Tucumcari. Well, what's in Tucumcari? Well, let me show you. And then we start off with, murals. We start off with going to the museum, checking out there's so many options. We've already worked out with some of the local businesses that, we're gonna show there is nightlife in Tucumcari. And hopefully the restrictions will be lifted soon and, we'll be more open for business. But I think if we get on this now, by the time the restrictions do get lifted, God willing, then, this will all sync up with the restrictions being lifted and, we'll be open for business. I've fallen in love with Tucumcari. I've been here off and on probably the last 4 or 5 years. The first gig I did here was a funeral for a well-known contractor. I liked it. I wanted to come back. We did the big event over at the Knights of Columbus Hall a little after that. That morphed into the New Mexico Music Showcase. And I've always thought this town has something about it. There's just a charm to it. The fact that you're located right off of I-40 is awesome. I think it's time, it's time to promote this town, the people, its charm, the location. And, now that cannabis is legal, we're probably gonna have an influx of people coming here from Texas. This is perfect timing, I think, and I appreciate your lodgers tax board approving the request, and be willing to entertain any questions, and just so that you all know I'm willing to work with you all and Mr. Martinez to make sure that the city gets the most bang for its buck.
So-
As far as
I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
So you're requesting 15,000 from the executive fund, and 5,000 from your own funds.
Yeah, well, my plan originally was just to come here and do a segment for what would become my episodic, and that's what I had budgeted. I was just gonna spend $5,000 for everything, the camera people, my co-host, and, whatever we filmed, and then I edited, and that would be it. But then I started realizing, well, if we could work together, then we could maybe expand that episode, make it more Tucumcari centric than Aventuras Encantadas. Because originally that was our plan, is we're gonna leave Santa Fe, we were gonna stop at Villanueva State Park and to show people that area. That's the whole purpose of this episodic adventure show, is I want to show New Mexico like off the beaten path. Santa Fe, Albuquerque, Taos, they get all the attention. They're on Condé Nast, they're brands. What about Tucumcari? What about Santa Rosa, Las Vegas, Villanueva State Park? There's so many beautiful places in New Mexico that often get overlooked because it's not Taos or Santa Fe or Albuquerque. And so that was the whole idea behind the Aventuras Encantadas. But the more I started looking at Tucumcari, then I realized, well, if you're willing to fund it, I'm willing to make an expanded pilot that's 100% Tucumcari. And then we'll worry about Villanueva State Park and Las Vegas and Farmington or Grants whenever their city council or lodgers tax steps up and says, well, we've got $15,000 for you to come and focus on us.
Well, the only comment I have with that, we've had several companies come through us over the past year, and it's actually, and we've accommodated them, and they've treated us really nice. But it's nice to see that, yes, you're asking for some money from our executive funds, but you're willing to invest in this adventure as well. And I appreciate that, Mr. Medina. Mr. Commissioner Moya?
Yeah, I have a quick question. Now, a point of clarification is, now let's say the Chamber of Commerce decided that they want to utilize it in, that's a separate entity, but let's say, for example, they want to utilize this video, whatever you propose it to do, in their promotion in Tucumcari. Would they have to come to you to get permission?
No.
Or because you agreed with us that it's ours, they can utilize it?
Yeah, neither one of us has to come to each other for permission to use it,
Okay.
because once it's done, the final product, I can turn it over to you like in a zip file, or it can live in your drive if the city has its own Google Drive. And whatever you wanna share, I mean, if you wanna start.
So you're
your own-
saying we have 100% control?
Yeah, you have
as you do.
as well as I do. So the only reason I would ever come back to the council and ask for permission to use it is if I thought somebody wanted to use it in a way that might shed a negative light on the city. I would wanna I would
Good.
make sure that you guys are
Certainly
100%
like to have
comfortable.
that say so.
Yeah, if another entity, and I get that often because, you know, I have a pretty big following on social media. A lot of people want to use some of my content, but I always make sure that whatever they're using it for is not shedding a negative light on it.
No, the reason I ask that is because too many times you have people come and ask for money to do things, and then what happens, every time we want to utilize it, now they have the control and we can't really utilize it. And yet we're the ones who funded it. And this is why, Tucumcari is really trying because of the pandemic and because of the restriction. Now, we're reaching out more in the media, and this is the ideal thing that we're trying to do to promote our own community. And we're very proud of it, and certainly we want to share it with other people. So.
Yeah, and I mean, it would be, even beyond giving the city, I mean, the way I view it is if you're paying for it, you own it.
Good.
I'm obviously requesting the same access to it, to do with it whatever I want. If I want to use it on Aventuras and Cantadas, fine. If I want to incorporate it into a music video, fine, I have that right.
You have the footage.
But, even beyond that, if someone was to reach out to you and, like I said earlier, they like the 2 minutes that we spent going up and down the boulevard with the neon, and they were to ask you guys, well, it'd be cool if you guys could give me a 45-second edit from this time to this time, I would even be willing to do that and just furnish it to you, even though you're gonna have the raw footage in your drive or in a zip drive or whatever you guys want me to, you know, to give it to you, whatever format. I'd be willing to go in and do
Let me ask
edits.
you a second question. You have a complete crew. Give us a little information on your crew that you're gonna be utilizing.
Well, it'll be 2 camera people, a sound person, and probably an assistant for, you know, whatever we need. And then it'll be myself and Lauren are the co-hosts. So,
You have the ability to do it.
yeah, I'm thinking what I'm gonna call this episode is, I'm probably gonna introduce my comedic persona. And, I'm probably gonna name this episode either Vamos Pa Tucum or Let's Go to Tucumcari, maybe both. And so the whole premise or the whole idea behind this episode is that Lauren and I come to Tucumcari and we're gonna demonstrate to the viewers that there is a lot to do here.
Aventuras means,
Adventures. Adventures.
Adventures,
Yeah.
aventuras, and then Encantada means what?
Enchanted.
Enchanted.
So the land of enchantment. The only issue I'm having with that is that there's a company called Enchanted Adventures. And before I say that I'm gonna create I need to make sure that there's no issue there.
No conflict.
But that doesn't matter. Whatever my episodic adventure show ends up being called, if I have to name it Checking Out New Mexico with Carlos and Lauren, then that's what it's gonna be called. And the first episode or the pilot episode would be Checking Out New Mexico with Carlos and Lauren in Tucumcari. And then whatever other city steps up and wants us to go check out their city, well, we're open for business. But I think this is gonna be the proof of concept. But the benefit to Tucumcari is that you'll have the content to use however you want, and it's not gonna be mingled with any others. It'll stand alone. So this is episode 1, or whatever my show is called, and it's all about Tucumcari. Ahí empezó y ahí se acabó. There's no like, you know, the next episode would be like, join us next time when we go visit, you know, fights Tula Rosa, New Mexico, or whatever. That's episode 2, and that's gonna be,
Different.
Tula Rosa's. We'll have to step up and and see what they, or whatever city it is. Other mayors have reached out already, and they're interested in the idea, and I think it's a great idea. I think it's time that we spend a little more time and effort in our rural communities, and we have a lot to offer. I came where I grew up, dirt roads, no street lights, and people go visit because that's where Gabriel de la Plaga's from. So, maybe someday we'll make an adventure to La Plaga.
Commissioner Hawkins, do you have any questions or anything to add?
Yes, sir, I do. Thank you. So you said that there's still some language that needs to be worked out on this contract, correct?
Well, any specific, and I talked with Mr. Martinez about that, I just want to make sure that the commission and the city is 100% content with what we're doing, that, you all feel the $15,000 is worth it. So to answer your question, yeah, there's some details, and also I won't request any draw until those details are made, until we finalize those details.
So Mark, how would that go? Because normally we approve the contract and that's supposed to be the final version of it, correct? So, I mean, I would be okay. I trust I've worked with you several times, but I like what you're doing here, and I appreciate you looking at Tucumcari to be your first step here. And I would have no problem approving this on a conditional basis, and the final contract come back to the commission for final approval.
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, but I think what the contract what I call the contract that's before you right now, is that sufficient?
I feel it is.
Okay, so that being said, if you feel that's sufficient, then whatever language we add to that would just be to the benefit of the city, because, here, I'm just asking for $15,000 to produce this episode. Anything else added to that would be to your benefit, because there's nothing else I could gain from it. Other than saying, well, I want another $15,000.
And again, I'm fully committed to doing a conditional approval.
Yeah.
But that final contract, I would like to see that final contract come back, just that way we can review that language.
So I guess the first step, I'll give you all some background on how this all started. Mr. Medina came up, he gave a presentation, as he stated, to the lodgers tax. He gave his pitch, and everybody was in support from lodgers tax. Lila's here tonight as well to vouch for that. We were moving on this quick because we're trying to hit some certain deadlines. Like I said, he's hoping to be here in about 2 more weeks. If that's the case, we would be able to hash out some small things before the next meeting. As it started, Mr. Medina had the original proposal that he had that's been in your commission packet. From that, he kind of came through with a preliminary kind of an idea for an agreement. With that being stated, there's some stuff, of course, that our legal counsel likes to see, so we had to put all the legal verbiage in there. It's very similar to what we did with a previous entity that was filming here in Tucumcari. So the meat and potatoes of this is really the back page. All of this is pretty much legal jargon as far as the marketing agreement. It's just switching some names that is between Carlos Medina Entertainment Inc. and the city of Tucumcari. The last page is the most important part. It's the Appendix A that actually spells out the parties' responsibilities and the fees. Another thing that had been brought up previously through our attorney with the previous filming was there's some concern about a lump sum upfront to be paid. So we negotiated that and we discussed it, and Mr. Medina was on board. We talked about potentially $5,000 installment due after the first site visit. Once they do their scouting and then we show there's some skin in the game. After there's been an official agenda when they'll be on site to film, and that will be determined after the scouting visit. Once the crew arrives on site, that would be a second installment of $5,000. And then upon completion of the filming, then the final payment would be distributed. That just shows, I think, some willingness on his side as well to work with us. to make sure that no one's trying to pull the wool over anybody's eyes. We're trying to work together. It's a great concept. I think it puts Tucumcari on the map. It helps us out quite a bit, whereas other things have marketed Tucumcari. There's been some social media posts, but this is going to go to all of our assets we have to offer here in Tucumcari and put it out on a platform.
Other than in that case, I'll go ahead and I'll accept that. I mean,
Yeah, and to
I
your,
would still like to see that final language presented as soon as it's drafted. And, I mean, I've already approved it, but
So actually, you're saying that legal had looked at it and more or less given it sense and direction?
No, I haven't pushed this before legal. It's the same verbiage like I said as the last one. So it's
Yeah,
not
I noticed it was almost like the other one that we
Yeah.
did at the detail.
so to your point, Commissioner Arias, I wasn't, I hadn't put two and two together that he had put my agreement with that contract. So if that's sufficient, then I'm okay with that. And, you know, that would allow you to move forward with approving it. And I'm basically what I'm saying is I'm willing to play ball with you to make this happen. There's really there's no monetary gain in it for me. My goal is that I would eventually have this series, and my secondary goal is that one day maybe I would be able to form some kind of official relationship with the city of Tucumcari to do for you kind of what I did for these guys. And, you know, maybe that's something we can visit on another meeting where like, it'd be cool if I could become Tucumcari's official content creator for social media or, that's kind of my long-term goal. I'm vested in the community. You know, I'm here at least two weeks a month, sometimes 3. And, you know, I eventually hope to buy a place here. And, you know, both my girlfriend and I really like it out here. We have a great fan base, and, you know, the response has always been great with music and with a comedy. So I just, you know, that's where I'm coming from as far as.
so you had also mentioned, so we would have access, we'd have on file the raw data, the
Yeah.
raw footage. And how many minutes did you say you'd provide of the edited for commercial?
Well, that's something I discussed with Mr. Martinez yesterday, is when I made the first proposal, I put in there an expanded 90-minute. What I meant to say is it'd be expanded 90-second excerpts. But total, I'm thinking you're gonna get probably an hour of total content. Now, once we edit it, we'll probably edit it down for what would be a 30-minute episode. And usually that means 27 minutes of content and 3 minutes for commercials, like if it does get run on a TV station. But I'm also willing, like I said, to give you guys up to 15 minutes of pre-edited content. And, you know, 15 minutes is just for us to put a number on it. But I mean, if you guys call and you're like, bro, we like this, and it's not gonna kill me just to edit it and send it to you already done. You know, if you want me to add music to it or write a jingle, I mean, I'm down for working with the city. But I realize that these things have to be specified to some degree in the contract so that both sides know what we're responsible for. So I'm fine with that.
Okay, I appreciate it.
And yeah, the raw data will be available to you. It probably won't be of much use to you unless you have somebody to edit it. But nonetheless, you might next year make an agreement with somebody and they want to use part of the data. It's there. You know, it'll be as an MOV or an MP4.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lilly, you got anything to add?
No, I just want to thank Carlos and trying something new here for us.
I appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity.
We can get to buy a home here.
Yeah. We're lucky, maybe around the 2nd Street area.
All right.
You do have a mobile home there already.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm a part-time resident. You're welcome. Thanks for
I'd entertain a motion to approve the transfer of the lodging tax executive funds for Carlos Medina's Enchanted Adventures.
I'll make a motion that we approve the transfer to Carlos Medina.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Yes.
Commissioner Moya.
Yeah.
Commissioner Villanueva.
Yes.
Commissioner Arias.
Yes.
Next on the agenda, thank you, Commissioner Medina. Next on the agenda is the city manager report. Martinez?
Yes, sir, thank you. So first off, I wanted to remind everybody again, City Hall is open for business. We're open Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We also have the Recreation Center open now, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from noon to 8 p.m. And the Coronado Park, which accepts tree limbs, is open on Friday and Saturday from noon to 4. With that being said, I have a few other things. I wanted to thank Rochelle for her hard work on the audit. Yes, we did have a few findings, but all those findings have been addressed at this point. The one with the IT, just the last commission meeting, the commission approved the contract with Plateau Fusion. So we're going to work on that to try to get rid of that one. So we're working and moving forward instead of just standing still, not doing something about it. The next thing was the travel per diem. That was something that was an oversight by previous management, so we're hoping to avoid that. We don't see that happening again. What was the third one that we worked on? I'm trying to think. We had the IT.
The EMS?
The EMS. Some of that was carryover from previous administration as well. Since we've been lucky enough to have a new interim fire chief, we have not had those issues. As the commission has noticed, we've actually increased our revenue quite a bit. So we're moving in the right direction. Things took a while to get damaged and they won't be fixed overnight, but we're working very hard to do that. So again, thank you to Rochelle and all her hard work with the audit. I'd also like to mention that I'd like to congratulate Shannon Shea Dobbs. She also graduated from the leadership program we attended. We did that 2 weeks ago, Friday. So both of us were able to graduate from that. It wasn't, it was a bit disappointing, I guess, that it was held virtually. It was a very great program. I was very, very happy to be a part of it. I think we got a lot more out of it going and attending in person. Unfortunately, with COVID, we were unable to do that. And it was a great experience, but it would have been nice to have that graduation in person. Today, the mayor and I were able to meet with Senator Pat Woods, as well as Representative Jack Chatfield. They were able to give us an update on the most recent legislative session, some of the positive things and some of the things that may affect us negatively moving forward. There's a lot of stuff that could affect and will affect the municipalities. To what extent, we don't know. It's something new and we'll see. And last but not least, I was able to talk to them about some of the goals moving forward. We will be receiving the American Rescue Plan funds. Still haven't got an update on exactly how that'll be transferred down to municipalities. On the totality of things, it's not much compared to the billions that the state's getting. So I have reached out personally to our representation, to our representative and senator, to ask what can they do to help us have some different avenues to get funds. We did receive the capital outlay for the streets. I'm going to see if that's written in a way where it's loose enough where we can maybe get some equipment. I think the equipment will go a lot longer and more bang for our buck versus the actual just $380,000 towards streets. That realistically will not even get us half a block. So if we could actually invest in the equipment to fix our streets, that would go much further. So I'm going to see if we could do that. And in the beginning of May, we'll begin having talks again over Tucumcari Lake. We're trying to get that renovated. We'll be meeting with New Mexico Game and Fish, a representation from the Audubon Society, Ducks Unlimited. So that's very promising. They've been out there, if you all have noticed, on the east side of town, cleaning up some of the salt cedars. So it's very encouraging because I know we had some very good talks pre-COVID. And then, of course, with COVID, the talks had stopped, and now we'll be meeting again at the beginning of May. So I've invited Representative Chatfield. He has some interest in that. He's been wanting to do something with that for quite some time. So we're hoping that all parties will come to the table and we'll meet and try to get something started out there to be good for us.
Let me ask you a question. Quite a while back, the commission, Tucumcari, did a lot of study on the lake, the Tucumcari lake that are referred to. And actually at that time, I think they named it Levis Gordon or something. Anyway, there was a lot of study. There was an environmental study. There was also on the bird, some specific bird that is in the endangered species. There was a lot of work put into that. There were trails, there were maps, there were all kinds of blueprints. Have you guys been able to locate that? And I know we were working at that time with state parks and that. At that time, that lake had water, now it's dry. But I mean, that was a lot of committees. There was a lot of people who put in a lot of time in it and a lot of studies in it. If you can locate that, that might help you a lot of research and other stuff that was done at that time. It might have changed now because we don't have the water anymore, but that thing was almost ready to go. And then all of a sudden, I left the commission, I don't know what happened, it died, but that was they're gonna do. They had something like a library they wanted to do. They wanted to do, what do you call those trails that you walk on or whatever. They had all kinds of good stuff planned. So you might look for it. It was done with conjunction of the state parks and the city of Tucumcari and a big committee that they had at that time.
Yeah, thank you. I'll look into that.
Do you remember what year?
It was early 90s, I think. They spent a lot of money on that. The city did, and so did the state parks. Everything. I know there was a bird that was keeping us that was an endangered species, from activating the plan at that time.
I do recall hearing that.
It turned into an interesting city commission meeting over the bird. And it was a real bird.
That was back in the 1900s.
And the 1900s, that's correct. That's when it came out there.
And that's all I have, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is items from the commissioners. Commissioner Arias, we'll start with you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ms. McClellan and Paws and Claws volunteers for all your hard work and trying to maintain the animal population that's running around our county. Alex, Rochelle, thank you for all your hard work that you guys do. The audit finding, or the few audit findings we have are very maintainable, and in fact, we were knocked out half of them, so that's great. Thank you guys for your hard work in getting those cleaned up. Mark, I haven't had time to catch up with you over this week, but I'm gonna ask, anything for Ms. Martinez on our fence?
No, that's on me, so I gotta get there now.
Okay, thank you. And this came across my my Twitter feed. This is a real good opportunity, Commissioner Moya. You're talking about developing our infrastructure. Mark, you already have that ball rolling. T-Mobile Hometown Takeover. So there's an opportunity for Tucumcari to be showcased in this and possibly win the sweepstakes. I mean, we always hear these things that are going on, and other municipalities always seem to win it. But here's another chance for us to just upgrade some of the stuff that we're working on here inside, here in Tucumcari. So what it does is $3 million. If the selected community will get $3 million to go towards their infrastructure needs, so high-speed internet, other infrastructure. There's also grants for community development. 100 of its citizens will receive high-speed internet within their homes, as well as TVs, and it's just a really great opportunity for us to upgrade ourselves. It's real easy. You go in, put your name, email address, say why Tucumcari deserves this opportunity, and upload a great picture of Tucumcari Mountain. And we have, there's plenty of money shots that we have from across town. So I encourage everyone to go ahead, insert Tucumcari's name. If we don't win, we don't win. If we do, it can mean the entire difference for our community. So there's my little positivity there at the end. That's T-Mobile Hometown Takeover.com. I appreciate everyone to go do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Villanueva.
I just want to thank all the Claus and Carlos and Dina and Raquel and Alex for planning development. They're doing a great job. And I think our city is gonna grow. And I hope, get the Spinkies going.
Okay.
And, other than that, I'm good. Thank you.
Commissioner Moya? I've got a couple of things, not a big deal. First of all, I was surprised. I had a gentleman by the name of Ernie Chavez. I guess they had been up at the cemetery, and I didn't even know the cemetery had this. They got like, I don't know, some sort of a display where you have like where you put pots of plants and stuff like that, and some stages, and where you can decor the cemetery. It's some sort of display. Pretty nice, I think. I wish I knew the correct proper name on it. And anyway, it was pretty not clean. It had already turned black and no plants in it or flowers or whatever you want to call it. It's kind of like an altar type of thing. I don't know what it is. Anyway, Ernie Chavez and his nephew, they both, I guess, spent a lot of time up there. They cleaned them and they really look nice. They cleaned the tile or whatever it's on it. They cleaned the pots and they really made it look super clean. They went and bought nice fresh, not fresh flowers, but plastic flowers. And they really brought it out really beautiful. If you get a hold of him, maybe you can, he can give us pictures so I can share it with the rest of the commission, because here's a resident that is taking his time to really devote and do volunteer some time, and you'd be surprised how nice it looks if you ever get to the cemetery. Like I told him, I never go to the cemetery, so I don't really know. But it really looked nice. He put a lot of work in it. So we need to also send him a thank you letter because of the nice dedication that he did put there. And if you can get some picture or two from him, he had him on that telephone, iPhone, whatever it is. The other thing is, Senator Campos called me when I was at Tuesday, I think, and he said, Moya, I haven't forgotten you. I'm trying to get you I'm meeting with the DOT. We're going to get you some stuff for your roads, what do you call it, millings or whatever you call it. He says, and I'll be meeting with you guys and letting you know where I'm at. I know that's a real concern for you in the community, he said. So he's going to be meeting with the people in Vegas, the DOT there, to get some stuff like that. And I'm very concerned because I tell you the truth, some of the potholes are getting pretty big, There's one right there in High Street, between First and Second Street. I didn't realize it was that deep. And I tell you, every time I hit it, it seems like I have to go to confession on Saturdays, So I need help here. See if you can get it covered, okay? Appreciate that, but he's gonna get us some stuff. The other thing I have is something very interesting. I already shared it with some people. I happen to have bought a house on Second Street, and we just went and cleaned everything, but there's a building on the back of the house, and I have instructed the maintenance people to go there and take care of the windows, But there were several questions I had on this thing, okay? First of all, when do we start sending certified letters on the first notice? Are we doing it to all residents or am I special?
Sure.
Can you let me know?
I'm not sure. I'll look into it.
Okay, because this is my first notice and it was a certified, which costs money. Can you imagine? But if I'm special, I understand. The other thing is that I call licensing board, and there is nobody that is an engineer on structures. And this is a shed in the back. It's not a big deal. Can be right there. And so it said that one of your employees had according to the lady who went up there, said that building was on structure safe. So when I call licensing, they said Tucumcari does not have a structural engineer. Do we have one, or were they just not telling me the truth?
No, sir. I know in my previous experience at community development that whenever I had to deem something structurally unsound, I had to contact Construction Industries Division through New Mexico CID.
Okay, because after I talked to them, he said, do you want to make a complaint? I said, no, I want to make a complaint because he said people should not be using licenses that they don't have. He said, only because I informed him about that They said very clear, do not represent something that you do not have a license. If you don't have a structural engineer, you don't have one. You cannot make that determination other than a structural engineer in the building. That's what licensing in the state of New Mexico said, okay? The other part, it was good that they gave me this. I haven't been up in that real estate that I bought very much. The other thing is they took pictures, which was great. Because then it showed, this is almost an interesting, ironic thing, you know what I mean? It showed that the trash bin that you guys have in the back of the building, kids banging that building and had destroyed it. Where they tried, I got the picture here, and it was done by the city. So it's interesting how the city destroys my building, then gives me a notice to fix it. You know what I'm saying? It's my building now because I bought it, you know, but it's interesting. You see what I'm saying is, instead of referring it to that trash bin being moved out of there so that you know, and I understand, I'm not blaming the street department, anybody. It's the fact that we don't have enough space in those alleys, so something's gonna get damaged. So the question is, I don't know what I'm gonna do with the situation where the trash bin has destroyed the back of that building, then, you know, and then you have the city destroying my building, and then you have the city sending me notice to fix it. And this is crazy. But anyway, I just want to make sure that sometimes we look at things, and if we have to make a report, we have to make a report. And if the police department goes over there and does this, they should make a report that this trash bin has been destroying. Let me show you, Mayor. You can pass the commission. So you see what I'm saying is, we have to be careful. We have to follow the protocols. We'll get it fixed. If that had happened, the deal behind it is, if I had insurance in that building, I do have in the property, but not the building, I would make a claim on it because that has been destroyed by the trash bin. I want the trash bin moved away from there. And also the fact is that I also want the city to start taking responsibility for their damage when they do it. You know what I'm saying? Normally this would not have been an issue, but if the city thinks they can play both sides of the fence, they're mistaken with me. Thank you.
I want to thank Paws and Claws for this, you know, doing the clinic. I also want to thank Mrs. McCollum for organizing some cleaning parties over the last few months. It does get discouraging when you see those bags caught onto the mesquite bushes, and unfortunately we can't control that wind. And catching people, I think a lot of it comes from not shutting dumpsters. As you know, I've seen, you know, the comments and stuff, and you know, we go through and we see majority of the negative stuff we see come across social media is people that just want to see problems and don't want to fix and come up with solutions. And it was real refreshing when I saw somebody actually come up with a solution and other people join in with it. But I commend you for that. Thank you. Thank you, Rochelle and Alex, for what y'all are doing, Chief. Lila, thank you for showing up in place of lodger's tax. And Mr. Medina, we appreciate your faith in Tucumcari. And you know, I've seen you myself come down numerous times. You've helped many people here on your own time and your own dollar. We appreciate that, and we look forward to working with you. I don't know how this happened, but I've had several people in my district that's been very thankful for what the city's done on the streets on that area. Some streets that have been, I hate to use the term, but terminally crappy. It's not a great fix, but it's like in their words, it was really nice to see that something was being done. No matter what it was something positive that was being done. I don't have a whole lot tonight. I appreciate. I can't say enough about how the work session went. I thought it was very proactive. It was nice to see that the commission was moving in a direction. Working together when it came to the pontoon boat and with our future legislation, which has come about. We want to make sure that the decisions we're making are going to be advantageous for not just our citizens, but for our community. I appreciate the commissioners coming in tonight, everybody else, everybody listening. With that, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Yes.
Commissioner Moya,
Yes.
Commissioner Villanueva,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias.
Yes.
Turn off your mics, please.
Yes, ma'am.